Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, listening to the CS, some of the figures that he was throwing around left me a bit confused. In December last year, Honorable Speaker, there was a report by Oxfam titled Kenya's Inequality Crisis, the Great Economic Divide. The report from Oxfam put the figure of Kenyans living under extreme poverty at 50%. I've heard the Honorable CS talking about 39.8, and they cited certain reasons, including the rising cost of living and inflation, which is at 50% higher than it was in 2020. We spoke about that period before COVID. But my question specifically to the CS is about this Nyota program. You said it has received a lot of publicity because you publicize it. It is essentially a political rally. So the question I want to ask the CS on these Nyota funds, can you tell this House the expense side of hosting those Nyota events? How much it costs for you to put up those fanciful tents that we see? How much it costs to transport all of you, including the president, to those events? And lastly, why you allow politics to be played on those podiums? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, I have a question to the CS. This is a very important subject that you are discussing on alleviating poverty amongst our citizens. And I must appreciate the interventions that have been listed and the measures that government is putting in place to try and help the less fortunate amongst us. There's a figure that the CS mentioned that by a cleanup of the register, they were able to save 2 billion shillings in the cash transfer program for the vulnerable in our society. Apart from cleaning up the register, were there any sanctions, CS, to public officers who may have been involved in either populating a list with people who are not deserving or ghost beneficiaries, Mr. Speaker? Last comment on Nyota is that I want to ask the CS to publicize it as much as possible alongside any other programs. Any program that helps citizens and makes their life better, Mr. Speaker, I believe should be publicized as much as possible. I thank you.
Senator Manzo.
Speaker, the CS talked about Gulalu irrigation project, and I want just to ask him generally on agriculture that Gulalu's project was to be stabilized by flow of water from Thwake Dam, which for the last 3 years, no progress at all has happened. Funding had been promised by African Development Bank by December. Up to now, there's no progress at all. And this will trigger irrigation in several counties, Kitui, Makueni, Kajiado, Machakos, and even the lower eastern counties, the lower counties around Gulalu. So what is he doing about that to make sure you spur irrigation of that? And finally, Mr. Speaker.
No, you're allowed to ask only one question, Honorable Senator. Senator Richard Mugu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And thanks, CS, for availing yourself. My question is, I went to Rwanda last year around November, and the system in social activities in Rwanda targets whole family, that is family unit, to alleviate and make them be on their feet. And then what I see that helps is the assessment that goes on. They go to that family, see how it has alleviated and helped, and the change that has taken place. Now, a lot of activities, as you mentioned, have gone on, but how much assessment is being carried to make sure that it is effective and helping people? Because you can pump things or money into a system, but that system is not reaching where it's supposed to be reaching, and therefore families continue to languish in poverty, and yet there is a lot of pumping into a system that is not reaching the targeted people.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, poverty is a present reality in this country, actually made worse by the current drought situation. Mr. Speaker, I am a bit taken aback by the figures that the CS has brought here, because I'm wondering then if you're relying on figures for 2022 to address a problem in 2026, then, Mr. Speaker, I think there's a problem. I want to know, and this time, Mr. Speaker, remember we were debating something and I was saying, I am not very sure if the 3.3 million people that we are saying are in need of urgent support, relief support, is actually a reflection of the reality on the ground. So the figures that we have here, most of them are drawn from 2022. We are in 2026, in the midst of a drought situation. I don't know what figures they're using to plan to alleviate poverty in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Minor.
Honorable CS, thank you for coming to answer the questions in this House. We have some CSs who don't bother to even apologize sometimes when they are not available for this question time, and it's crucial. And more importantly, we require that when you undertake something on the floor of the House, you ensure it's performed. Honorable CS, as you can very well tell from your report, which I know you have prepared with a lot of caution, just to make sure that it's factual and it represents the reality, we have a very poor population in the Republic of Kenya. And in Murang'a County, we have people living in extreme poverty, Honorable Speaker, who require very, very key intervention. And I know your report has disaggregated the counties. Honorable CS, I don't know whether you are aware that right now there are fires that have caught, there are some homes that have caught fire within Murang'a County, and that population of the people who have faced those fires do not even have a home they can call a home. What is your ministry doing to ensure that the fires that have happened in Kegumo, fires that have happened in Kangema, in a place called Kiawambogo, fires that have happened in Kandara, and even old people whose homes they are rained on. I mean, when they are asleep inside their home, they are rained on. What is your ministry doing anything to intervene for those people living in extreme hardcore poverty within the counties, and particularly Murang'a County? What are you doing? I have like lineup of 7 homes that need very urgent intervention.
Now, honorable senators, avoid making lengthy speeches. Go straight to the question so that we can have as many questions to address to the CS. Senator Betty Montet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable CS, you talked about the social transfers. My question then is to where you stand. From where you stand, do you think that these transfers are aimed at poverty reduction or it is a poverty mitigation strategy? And is it not time that the figures are reviewed?
Senator Abbas.
Honorable Speaker, I want to ask the CS that this country, as you rightly said, almost 13 counties are facing drought, and they are above the poverty level status. And this has been there for long years and many years. CS. You know, this country.
No, honorable senators, I'll remind you again.
Okay, let me ask a question. Honorable CS, how much money was allocated for drought intervention in northern Kenya and wherever there's a drought? A lot of, I've seen food being distributed, and we cannot continue relying on food alone every time. this country has to change its policy in terms of, drought interventions. If you just look at Burkina Faso, which has been in the middle of that desert today, has surplus production of food just because of one person who made a life change in that country. So what is the plan for the country, for this country, to produce, drought interventions in time and to have enough food for food production to avoid giving ad hoc food supply in the drought-stricken areas?
Senator Consolata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity, and to welcome CS. You have outlined a myriad of interventions to boost economic levels. However, my question is this, that which mechanisms has your ministry put in place to inform on the selection criteria of the beneficiaries of these opportunities? Which monitoring and evaluation tool do you have? And finally, which one is your feedback mechanism have you put in place to realize on the uptake of these opportunities? I'm so disappointed that Bungoma County has been rated highest in poverty.
Senator Chirange Sampson.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And Waziri, just a quick one. You have discussed the issue of poverty elevation, especially among the young people, Nyota youth development programs that are supposed to be in place. My question through the Speaker is, Waziri, what mechanisms of evaluation and monitoring you have put in place to ensure that young people, or what you are doing in Nyota, and Mr. Speaker, the issues of youth are so much more important that it needs the attention of the President. So, Speaker, what I'm asking is there evaluation and monitoring mechanisms that we have put in place? And Waziri, what strategies that are in place to ensure that these issues are long-term and ignore haters like Senator SIFUNA, who doesn't even know where ODM certificate
we've
is?
Heard your question, Senator.
Is not a
Senator Fernandi, take your seat. Senator Seki.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question goes direct to the CS, and it's in issues of irrigation development programs. Honorable CS, I believe there was a budget on the financial year 2024-2025 for irrigation schemes in Rombo, in Kajiado County, and in Kuruman, Magadi. Honorable Speaker, I would really wish to know the level and processes where that irrigation schemes is, because we don't see anything so far from those 2 financial years.
Senator John Yuchu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer to the response by the CS on economic empowerment, Mr. Speaker, and I refer specifically to Nyota program, Mr. Speaker, where when these funds are being distributed to young people, the President is always in attendance. So could the CS Treasury tell us exactly how much does the country spend in transporting the President?
Senator Nyutu, that's a repeat question. It's a question that has already been asked, so just wait for its response.
Okay. Okay.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond, and kindly do so in less than 10 minutes so that we wrap up on this particular question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the question, the first question by Senator Mbugwa on the Nyota program and the persons living with disabilities who have benefited or are benefiting from Nyota program, I wish to state that so far 26,000 persons living with a disability have benefited from this program. So it's not that they have been neglected completely. There is a component of the funding that has been designated specifically for persons living with a disability. Senator Muma has asked me about support to TVET institutions. As a matter of fact, we are supporting TVET institutions. We have concluded the funding of TVET together with other tertiary institutions and the Higher Education Loans Board program. And in terms of capitation, I know there was challenges, but it's not that we have not provided money completely. There are challenges with the funding of TVETs, and we have got the data on how to fund, how much is needed, but because of sometimes financial constraints, we are not able to provide enough funding to TVET, but it remains a priority. In fact, we have even received some funding. We are receiving some funding from China to support the TVET activities. And TVET is at the core of the government agenda. As we prepare the budget of 26-27, we are going to make sure that TVETs are supported in terms of capitation, because that is where the challenge has been. Senator Shute, on Marsabit County, I wish that this information was required. I will make it available if that is needed on the projects that are ongoing in Marsabit. I may not know the status where they are because the 9 ministries are responsible, but we will do as much as we can to provide the projects that are being implemented in Marsabit County. But I would not dispute if Marsabit County is not or has not been receiving proper funding from the national government, because discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion in this country, Mr. Speaker, we cannot shy away from it. It has been a reality. And as leaders, we cannot run away from that responsibility. And I will look into the budget of 2026 with a clear objective of ensuring some equity and fairness. We may not have equal budget or equitable budget in year one, but we must start that progress. And if I had time, I would tell you some of the interventions that even personally I have intervened in the budget process to make sure that certain areas that have been ignored are actually taken care of. This morning, before I came here, I was having a meeting with MPs from the Northern Kenya region, and just to see how to give more support to that region in terms of budget, including the supplementary budget. So I agree with you that there could be some kind of marginalization, but that should be addressed. On the questions by Honorable SIFUNA about the figures from Oxfam and my figures, I am quoting public figures, Mr. Speaker, and figures that have come from government institutions that I think we have faith in. Because again, every country has their system of doing their survey. If we have put a government institution in place that is doing household survey, and they've given us the data that in 2015, in 2009, our poverty index was at 54%. And that went down in 2015 to 36.1%. And went down even further in 2019 to 33.6%. But rose or went up during COVID to 42.9%, and then went down to 39.8%. I have no reason to doubt those figures, unless I am proved to be wrong, or the institution which is doing the survey is proved to be wrong. So I am relying on authentic figures, figures that we can challenge. If we feel we don't agree with the figures, we can challenge them. But these are statistics that have not come from the moon. They are with us, they are public documents, and can be checked. On the issue of Nyota, and whether it's a political rally, you know, Kenyans are very interesting, Mr. Speaker. When you don't communicate, they complain. They want public participation. When you do it, why are you doing it? You are politicizing. How much are you using? I don't know whether you expect the president to walk to Kisumu on foot to go and conduct public sensitization on a very critical and important program of government targeting the youth.
Order, honorable senators. Order. Order. Senator Fernandi, you either be orderly or I'll ask you to leave the chamber. I don't know where that excitement is coming from. let us listen to the CS in silence. Now, Honorable Senator for Nairobi, you cannot rise on a point of order against the CS. It is up to the Speaker to rule. Proceed and conclude, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was just explaining that we need proper sensitization to the youth in terms of how to run the businesses that they are going to start using this Nyota program. And again, we need no lesser office than the head of state to be able to articulate and explain to the youth the agenda of the government, because he was elected to address problems of Kenya. The president was not elected to sit at State House. We need a president who reaches to Kenyans, talk to them, explain the government programs.
No.
Mr. Speaker, on Majority Leader...
Honorable Senator, Honorable CS,
yes.
The question that has been asked by Senator for Nairobi is for you to tell the country how much has been expended.
Mr. Speaker, if I was...
If you don't have the figure...
Yeah, and again, but what I know is has been spent within the budget of the president to run the government. The president has a budget at State House to run programs. And all the expenditure...
Order, Honorable Senator. Senator Fernandi.
So, Mr. Speaker, the confirmation that I would give this House is that the budget that the head of state has spent in going around to sensitize Kenyans on the Nyota program is within the budget of State House provided by the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya. Majority Leader asked me whether we have sanctioned the officers who probably were involved in giving us figures that were not accurate. I think the line ministry is dealing with that, but the line ministry helped us to clean the system, get 2 billion, which we actually reallocated to support health programs for for those Kenyans who cannot afford to pay for their health programs. So this money that was saved was properly put to support the health programs. Senator Manzo, you asked me about Galana Kulalu. First, for us to be able to irrigate 200,000 acres of Galana Kulalu project, we'll have to do a dam along that the reader